multiplied with the minus, then these values will change. 1 by V1 power gamma minus 1 minus 1 by V2 power gamma minus 1. So K by gamma minus 1 into this one will be 1 by, or we can multiply this K to the other terms which are in the brackets. So this is 1 by gamma minus 1 and it is K by V1 power gamma minus 1 minus K by V2 power gamma minus 1. If this is the case, this is K1 and K2. We can write P into V power gamma is equal to K. Therefore, here in place of this we can write P1 V1 power gamma. Here it is P2 V2 power gamma. Therefore, it is 1 by gamma minus 1 into P1 V1 power gamma by V1 power gamma minus 1 minus P2 V2 power gamma by V2 power gamma minus 1. So work done is equal to, now this V1 power gamma minus 1 goes up, 1 minus gamma. So therefore 1 by gamma minus 1 into P1 into V1, this is gamma, and if this goes up, 1 minus gamma, plus 1 minus gamma, minus P2 V2 gamma plus 1 minus gamma, because here it is also V2 power gamma minus 1, if it goes up, 1 minus gamma, because V2 power of minus gamma minus 1. So it is 1 by gamma minus 1 into P1 V1 minus P2 V2. Gamma, 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 gamma get cancelled. According to the ideal gas equation, we can write PV is equal to nRT, P1 V1 is equal to nRT1, P2 V2 is equal to nRT2. Now I am substituting this P1 V1 and P2 V2 values in this equation. So therefore W is equal to 1 by gamma minus 1 into P1 V1 minus P2 V2. As I mentioned, we are substituting this P1 V1 and P2 V2 values. Therefore, W is equal to 1 by gamma minus 1 into nRT1 minus nRT2. Suppose if N is equal to 1 mole, then W is equal to 1 by gamma minus 1 into RT1 minus RT2. We can take R as common, therefore W is equal to R by gamma minus 1 into T1 minus T2. This is the expression for the work done in adiabatic process. So R by gamma minus 1 into T1 minus T2, where gamma is equal to Cp by Cv. The Cp by Cv values will change. If it is a monoatomic, there is one value of gamma. If it is diatomic, there is another value of gamma. Triatomic, another value of gamma. Polyatomic, different value. That means this gamma value changes depends upon the atomicity. So we can substitute those values according to the problem given. This is the numerical which is based on the concept of adiabatic expansion or work done in the adiabatic process. If you see the content, if a monoatomic ideal gas of volume 1 liter at NTP, natural temperature and pressure, compress it to half of its initial volume. Find the work done on the gas adiabatically. So V1 is equal to V1, nothing but 1 liter. But V2 is equal to V1 by 2. Okay, it is at NTP. Then what we should find out is work done in adiabatic process. So according to adiabatic process, we can write T1 V1 power gamma is equal to T2 V2 power gamma. From this we can write T2 is equal to T1 into V1 by V2 whole power gamma. So in adiabatic process we can write T1 V1 power gamma minus 1 is equal to T2 V2 power gamma minus 1. From this we can write T2 is equal to T1 into V1 by V2 whole power gamma minus 1, where gamma is Cp by Cv for monoatomic gas, gamma is equal to 5 by 3. Now we are substituting all the values. T2 is equal to, where T1 is 273. Why, sir? Because the reason is at NTP. NTP means at natural temperature and pressure, T1 is at 0 degrees Celsius. So we can write at NTP, T1 is equal to 0 degrees Celsius, that is equal to 273 Kelvin. Therefore, T2 is equal to T1 273 into V1 by V2 is equal to V1 by 2 whole power gamma minus 1. Therefore, it is 273 into 2V1 by V1 2 power 5 by 3 minus 1. Therefore, T2 is equal to 273 into 2 power 2 by 3. 5 by 3 minus 1 is 2 by 3. If we do the calculation, we will get approximately some 416 Kelvin. So you can see the approximate value is some 431.6 Kelvin. This is T2. Number of moles at NTP 1 liter per 1 liter to 22.4 liters. Number of moles is equal to 1 liter by 22.4 liters. It is 1 by 22.4. Now the work done is R by NR by gamma minus 1 into T1 minus T2. We are going to substitute that. So the work done in adiabatic process is equal to NR by gamma minus 1 into T1 minus T2, where N is equal to number of moles, that is 1 by 22.4, where R is equal to 8.314 by gamma minus 1, where gamma is 5 by 3 minus 1. T1 is 273 Kelvin, T2 is 431.6 Kelvin. Therefore, it will be written as 8.314 by 22.4 into 5 by 3 minus 1 is 2 by 3. So, 1 by 2 by 3 will give 3 by 2 into this is minus 158.6. If you do the all calculations with simplify, we will get minus 895 joules. Work done in this process adiabatically is minus 895 joules, where minus indicates work done on the gas to adiabatic expansion. The next thermodynamic process to be discussed is isochoric process. So it is a process where the physical state changes in the volume and temperature, or changes in the pressure and temperature when volume remains to be constant. The process in which the change in pressure and temperature when volume remains constant. According to the first law of thermodynamics, dq is equal to du plus dw, and this will be written as du plus pdv is equal to dq. When volume remains constant, there is a change in the pressure and temperature to the surroundings from the system. So when volume remains constant, this whole term will become 0. That's why it will become dq is equal to du. So the rate of change in internal energy, or du by dt, is equal to the specific heat. dq by dt is equal to du by dt. Therefore, the change in internal energy per unit rise in temperature is called dq by dt is called specific heat. Like this, we can define the isochoric process. Next one is isobaric process. It is also a thermodynamic process where the work done are nothing but the change in volume and change in temperature of a physical state when pressure remains constant. It is a process where the physical change of the system changes occurred in system in volume and temperature where pressure remains constant. If suppose, what is the first law of thermodynamics? dq is equal to du plus dw. So where dw is equal to pdv, therefore it is p into v2 minus v1. This p into v2 minus is also called nr into t2 minus t1, because pv is equal to nrt. So the work done is nr into t2 minus t1. So as the temperature changes and does the internal energy changes. So as heat energy changes, does the internal energy changes. Because the work done is fully dependent on dw is equal to pdv, therefore we can say dq is equal to du. Heat energy exchanges or changes, du will exchange or changed. And the next one is cyclic process. A cycle wheel which repeats its motion and comes to the initial point after repeating one complete revolution. Such like that, cyclic process also same. So what is the cyclic process? Okay, there are many thermodynamic processes what we have been discussing. In these processes or among these or may not be these, some processes may experience the change in pressure, volume and temperature, and anyway it is coming to the initial state or returning to the initial state. This process is called cyclic process. So a thermodynamic process in which a physical system goes through change in pressure or pressure, volume and temperature changes. So we can say that goes through pressure, comma volume and temperature changes and returns to the initial state. So a process where the physical system experiences the change in pressure, change in volume and change in temperature, and after doing this work completely, the body is again coming to the initial state. This process is called cyclic process. As we discussed the graphs earlier, the graph will be like this. Again it is coming to the original state. So the area under this PV curve is a closed curve. The area of this curve will give the work done in this process. So work done is equal to area of the closed curve, or we can write area of the closed PV curve. This is along pressure, this is volume. So according to the first law of thermodynamics, or first law of TD, where TD is nothing but thermodynamics, we can write dq is equal to du plus dw. So as the body is again coming to the original state or initial state, there will be no change in the internal energy. No change in internal energy. Therefore, du will become 0. Therefore, this equation will get dq is equal to dw. So the amount of work done in a cyclic process is equal to the amount of heat energy supplied. But it is an ideal case, may not be possible in the whole soul conversion. So the example for this is a heat engine. The amount of work done in a cyclic process is equal to the heat energy supplied. Example is heat engine. But this heat engine doesn't convert the whole soul conversion of the heat energy to the work. There will be some conversion, remaining will be released in a form of exhaust gases, nothing but the loss. We will discuss in the next part. The next one is non-cyclic process. Yes, in the term we are observing non-cyclic means which doesn't goes to the initial state after the changes experienced. That is said to be non-cyclic process. Means in some process it is very difficult to retain the original state. Maybe in case of explosions, a sudden diffusion of the gases from low temperatures to high temperatures. These are all the examples for the non-cyclic process. Therefore, the thermodynamic process where the system or physical system doesn't retain its original state. Is called non-cyclic process. So, not possible to regain the original state after the changes have been experienced. So, what are the changes experiences? Delta P, change in pressure, delta V, change in volume, delta T, change in temperature. As this goes on, what are the examples? Diffusion of gases, second one, free expansion of gases, the area under the volume axis is called the work done in non-cyclic process. The area under the curve and volume axis is called work done in non-cyclic process. So, we can state the definitions and examples for the non-cyclic process like this. The next one is reversible process. Yeah, the title itself says that it is a reversible process. Cyclic, non-cyclic are almost similar to the reversible and irreversible process. In cyclic process, the path repeats itself after experiencing the change in pressure, volume and temperature. But in case of reversible, the system and surroundings both will come to the initial state after experiencing these all. But in case of cyclic, there is no possibility for the system and surroundings to come to the initial state. That is the only difference between the reversible and cyclic. So, in reversible, it is a process where the system and surroundings comes to the initial state after experiencing the changes in the physical quantities. So, the physical quantities that are going to change in these type of process are pressure, volume, temperature. If pressure, volume, temperature goes on changing in the expansion, the same they should retain in the case of compression. So, the graph will be like this. So, this is the expansion A2, C via B, and it is again returning to the A via D. So this is called reversible process. In this reversible process, the total work done is almost 0 because it is a conservative work. The best reversible process what we can experience is quasi-static process. So this process must be slow. One means it should start with the slow nature and the ending is also slow. And third one, there is no net heat energy was exchanged. One more thing, it is simply an ideal case because there will be no loss due to the friction in heat. It is simply an ideal case. No loss in heat energy. No loss of heat energy due to friction or any factor. What are the examples for this reversible process? First one, converting ice to water is an example, and water to ice. Where ice to water is increase in the temperature and water to ice is decrease in the temperature. So what we can expect is water to ice is such an example for the reversible process by keeping the temperature constant. The second one is converting the steam to water. So in steam to water, steam is at 100 degrees Celsius initially. Water will be at room temperature. So it is converting to decrease the temperature of the state. So it is also reversible. So like this we can define and give the examples for the reversible process. The next process, which is exactly opposite to the reversible process, that is titled as irreversible process. The irreversible process which does not comes to the initial state after experiencing the changes in the physicals. So the process which doesn't come to the initial state So the process which doesn't come to the initial state after experiencing the changes. This type of process are called irreversible process. What are the examples? We are rubbing our hands to produce the heat. Means these two hands are moving against each other to overcome the friction. Because of this overcoming the friction, heat is produced. But we are not moving our hands to produce the heat, or we are not moving our hands to experience the heat in the forward direction. That is said to be irreversible process. So rubbing hands produces the heat. But heat is not bringing the hands closer. Hands closer. This is one of the example for the irreversible process. The second one, take two gases of different pressures. If these two are mixed together, after that one gaseous form will created, but that gaseous form may not be in the same pressure as the initials are there. It is very difficult to remove the pressures from those mixture. So that is one of the example for the irreversible process. Mixing is possible, separation is not possible. Mixing of two gases which are at different pressures is possible, but separation is not possible. Like this, we can define and give the examples for the irreversible process. The next concept to be discussed is heat engine. One of the important concept it is. So the heat engine what is this heat engine? It is such a physical device which converts the heat energy to mechanical work. It is a physical device which converts amount of heat or heat energy to mechanical work. This device, we should supply the heat energy and it should convert to that into mechanical work. This heat engine consists three main parts. First one is source, second one is sink, third one is working substance. Source, which is at high temperature or high thermal capacity, which can absorb any amount of heat. So it is which is at high thermal capacity and at high temperature which can receive any amount of heat energy. The second part is sink. This is also at a high thermal capacity, but when compared to the source, it is not that much. Means comparatively, it is at low thermal capacity and less temperature, which receives or which exhausts any amount of heat energy through it. Sink means the waste product what we are throwing out, that is said to be sink. So in a heat engine also there is a sink. So comparatively, which is at low temperature, low thermal capacity. Which can receive any amount of temperature. Working substance, it is like a fuel. Suppose it is a diesel engine, let us suppose if it is a diesel engine, the working substance is fuel and air. This working substance will receive the heat energy from the source and does some work, and the remaining exhausted will be connected to the sink, and the remaining will utilize to increase the internal energy of the system. Now we will see graphically what is the functioning of this heat engine. So the block diagram of heat engine is like this. This is source, which releases the temperature or heat energy Q1 to the working substance, and this working substance does some work with the help of this supplied heat energy Q1, and the exhausted, nothing but the loss, is radiated in a form of heat Q2. This will be connected to sink. This is the block diagram. As we are discussing working substance, if it is a diesel engine, it's a fuel plus air. So, in steam engine, if it is a steam engine, the working substance is steam. Steam engines which were used to run the trains in the ancient days, then it was designed to the diesel engine. These two technologies are washed out, and now we are using the electrical technology to run the trains. So, these are all one of the examples of the heat engine connected devices. So, this working substance was connected through the cyclic processes. So, connected to the cyclic process. So, what is the meaning of that? After every cycle, once it does work, this working substance will be brought to the initial condition. After each cycle, the working substance is brought to original condition. So, this is an example of cyclic process as well as reversible process. So, the heat energy difference is Q1 minus Q2. Work done is W. The work done per the heat energy supplied means it is doing some work on the basis of the heat energy supplied. The ratio between the work done to the heat energy supplied is called efficiency of the heat engine. So, the difference in the heat energy or in the heat energies between source and sink is called work done by heat engine. Therefore, efficiency is there. Efficiency means how ably or how much ability it has to convert the heat energy to work. Therefore, efficiency means the rate of ability to convert the heat energy into mechanical work. So, its symbol is eta. This is equal to W by Q1, where W is equal to Q1 minus Q2 by Q1. Because W is equal to Q1 minus Q2, if you see the first two lines, work done is the difference between the heat energies. So it will be written as 1 minus Q2 by Q1, where Q is proportional to T, means heat energy supplied means there is automatically temperature is also supplied. Therefore, this eta will become 1 minus T2 by T1. T2 is always less than T1. So, less than by greater, so it will be less than 100. So, if you see this equation where T2 is the temperature connected to the sink, where T1 is the temperature connected to the source. So, the efficiency of a heat engine does not depend upon the nature of the working substance. It simply depends upon the temperature differences between the source and sink. So, higher the temperature difference, lower the efficiency. Lower the temperature difference, higher the efficiency. So, what we can write in this case, eta is always less than 1 or nothing but less than 100%. If T1 is equal to T2, eta is 0. If you see the statement, efficiency of a heat engine is less than 100% means it is very difficult to convert the heat energy entirely to work. This is one of the form of second law of thermodynamics. The next one what we are discussing is a refrigerator. This refrigerator is also an ideal Carnot heat engine which works in reverse order. This is an ideal Carnot's heat engine which works in reverse order. So it is also called reverse heat engine. It contains 2 parts, 3 parts as conveyed in the heat engine. So what are those? First one is source, second one is sink, third one is the working substance. So source is nothing but the materials which were kept inside the refrigerator. Which was kept inside the refrigerator. Sink is nothing but the surroundings or the next level system around the temperature or around the refrigerator. We can say that surroundings of the refrigerator. Working substance is there are some materials which are placed inside the refrigerator to cool the substances or to decrease the temperature of the substances which was kept already. This is said to be working substances. Now we will discuss the functioning and working of this refrigerator. Now we will see the block diagram of refrigerator. This is the working substance Q2. It's a cold reservoir. And this is working substance does some work, the extra amount of heat was supplied to a body which is at hot reservoir. The working substance of the refrigerator is called as refrigerant. So what is the functioning of the refrigerator? How it orders in the reverse way. So this working substance receives some amount of heat energy from the cold reservoir which is at low temperature T2. When it absorbs the heat energy from the cold reservoir, so this working substance, nothing but the refrigerant, does some work to compress the body or to expand the body, nothing but to increase or decrease the temperature of that body. While doing the work, the loss of energy is exerted in a form of heat, and that one should be connected to the hot reservoir which is at a temperature T1. So absorbing from cold does some work to increase or decrease the temperature by the refrigerant, nothing but the working substance. The extra amount of heat energy which is produced in this process will be served or connected to the hot reservoir at a temperature T1. So the efficiency of the refrigerator is also called as coefficient of performance. The coefficient of performance is called its efficiency. So its symbol is beta, where beta is equal to Q2 by W. Heat energy supplied by the cold reservoir by work done. So Q2 by, so it is beta is equal to Q2 by W. This is Q2 by W is equal to Q1 minus Q2. In terms of temperature, we can write this one as T2 by T1 minus T2. So it is T1 minus T2 by T2. So T1 by T2 minus 1. So beta is equal to 1 by eta minus, where minus indicates reverse in the order, 1 by eta indicates reciprocal to the value. So what we can understand in this case is, in heat engine, its efficiency doesn't exceed the 100%, always it is less than 100%. But in case of refrigerator, the coefficient of performance exceeds the 100%. That's why beta value lies from 2 to 6. So this is the way we can understand the concept of refrigerator and heat engine. By considering these two experiments, we can say that the wholesale conversion of the heat energy to work is impossible. There is no such a system which supports that activity. So this is called second law of thermodynamics. The second law of thermodynamics explains the conversion of heat energy to work in two different statements. This is the statements about the second law of thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics states about the conversion of heat energy to work and increase in the internal energy. But in case of second law of thermodynamics, it only explains the conversion of heat energy to mechanical work. By considering the examples of heat engine and refrigerator, there are two statements to explain the second law of thermodynamics. The first statement was derived by Kelvin Planck. It is called Kelvin-Planck's statement of second law of thermodynamics. So what is their view? It is impossible by any thermodynamic process which results solely in the removal of the heat from a heat reservoir and convert it entirely into work. So general statement says that it is very impossible to convert the heat energy what we have supplied to a machine to the whole conversion to the work. The statement was given in this form by Kelvin-Planck statement. So the entire efficiency is not equal to 100% in case of Kelvin-Planck's view. But in the view of Clausius statement, it was derived by Clausius. So his view is, it is impossible for a self-acting unaided machine by any external agency to transfer heat from a body at low temperature to a body at high temperature. That means if a body was single or isolated, it is very impossible to move that body from low temperature region to high temperature region without any external support. This is given by Clausius and his statement is called like this. So whatever may be the two statements which are in the different form, it is saying about the whole conversion of heat energy to work is impossible. So these are the statements given by two great scientists about the view of second law of thermodynamics. Now we will see one of the example for the second law of thermodynamics which acts as a heat engine to refrigerator conversion, that is nothing but Carnot's heat engine. The next one is Carnot's heat engine. This is constructed by a scientist, Sadi Carnot. In this device, we are going to find out the total work done to expand the heat gas from low temperatures to high temperature and compress it from low temperatures to high temperatures. So, work done in expansion plus compression. In case of expansion and compression, expansion did when temperature remains constant, nothing but isothermal, and at the same one which is reversed in temperature at constant, nothing but isothermal compression. At the same time, when temperatures remains to be constant, at each process of expansion and compression, automatically there is a adjoint sites which connects the adiabatic expansion and compression. This adiabatic expansion which doesn't leak any temperature to the surroundings. So this Carnot's heat engine has 4 stages. First stage is isothermal expansion. Second stage is adiabatic expansion. Third stage, isothermal compression. Fourth stage, adiabatic compression. These are the 4 stages involved to a heat energy to convert as work. Now we will see the block diagram of this heat engine and we will analyze the whole work. So the block diagram for the Carnot heat engine and their steps involved is like this. Step 1 to 2, nothing but isothermal expansion. Step 2 to 3, adiabatic expansion. Step 3 to 4, isothermal compression, and step 4 to 1, adiabatic compression. These are the 4 steps that are involved in Carnot's heat engine. So this is 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 1. So between 1 to 2, the thermodynamic variables are P1, V1, T1, but this 1 to 2 is explaining about the isothermal expansion. Isothermal means temperature remains constant, P and V will change. Therefore, the second one, the thermodynamic variables at second point will be P2, V2, T1. 2 to 3 is adiabatic expansion. So P2, V2, T1 and it is converting to P3, V3, T2. This 3 to 4 is isothermal compression, means we are keeping temperature constant but P and V will change like this. P4, V4, T2. Automatically it is reaching to the initial state 1 by adiabatic compression. Now we will find out the work done in each step. Step 1 to 2. This is isothermal expansion. In isothermal expansion, the work done is nRT into log 10 base V2 by V1. But in 1 to 2, the temperature is kept constant at T1. That's why this equation will change like this. nRT1 into log 10 base. The volumes are V2 to V1. That's why we can keep V2 and V1 as same. This is equation 1. The second step, step 2 to 3, is adiabatic expansion, AE. Therefore, work done in adiabatic expansion is nR into T1 minus T2 by gamma minus 1. So, if you see, temperatures are T1 and T2, that's why these values are not going to change. Where R is constant, gamma is also constant. So, this is the work done in adiabatic expansion. Let us say this is equation 2. So, the third step is step 3 to 4. If you see this step 3 to 4, it is isothermal compression. So, in case of this isothermal compression, work done is, the general formula is nRT into log V2 by V1. So, but the temperature remains at T2. So, therefore, it is nR T2 log base 10. Volume changes from V3 to V4. Therefore, it is V4 by V3. This is third equation. The fourth one is step 4 to 1. It contains adiabatic compression. So, in case of this adiabatic compression, W is equal to nR into T1 minus T2 by gamma minus 1. So, here the temperatures are T1 to T2. So, there will be no change in the adiabatic compression equation. Let us say this is 4. Therefore, total work done is equal to work done from 1 to 2 plus work done from 2 to 3 minus work done from 3 to 4 minus work done from 4 to 1. We are applying the negative magnitude for the work done from 3 to 4 and 4 to 1. The result is, because these two processes are compressions which are done exactly opposite in the direction and magnitudes of expansion. That's why the total work is summation of isothermal expansion and adiabatic expansion minus isothermal compression minus adiabatic compression. So, therefore, the total work done in case of Carnot's heat engine is W1 to 2 plus W2 to 3 minus W3 to 4 minus W4 to 1. So, W1 to 2, nothing but the isothermal expansion work done. So, it is nR T1 into log 10 V2 by V1 plus W2 to 3 nR into T1 minus T2 by gamma minus 1 minus W3 to 4 isothermal compression nR T2 into log 10 base V3 by V4 minus nR into T1 minus T2 by gamma minus 1. This plus nr into minus nr cancel out. Therefore, work done is equal to nr T1 into log 10 V2 by V1 minus nr T2 into log 10 V3 by V4. Let us write this one as Q1, this one as Q2, because work done is equal to Q1 minus Q2 in case of heat engine. Now, the efficiency of heat engine is equal to 1 minus Q2 by Q1. In place of Q2 and Q1, I am going to substitute these two values. So, efficiency is equal to 1 minus Q2 by Q1. Therefore, 1 minus Q2 is nr T2 into log 10 V3 by V4 whole divided by nr T1 into log V2 by V1. nr get cancelled, therefore it is 1 minus T2 by T1 into log V3 by V4 by log V2 by V1. Now we should solve this logarithmic part in the equation. So if you see the curves 2 to 3, where temperature is T1, volume is V2. In the third part, T2, V3. These two are related by the adiabatic process. Therefore, in the curve 2 to 3, we can write T1 V2 power gamma minus 1 is equal to T2 V3 power gamma minus 1. Therefore, from this we can write V2 by V3 whole power gamma minus 1 is equal to T2 by T1. Let us say this is some equation A. If you see the same curve which is from 4 to 1, here the temperatures are T2 V4 and T1 V1. Therefore, T2 into V4 power gamma minus 1 is equal to T1 into V1 power gamma minus 1. From this, T2 by T1 is equal to V1 by V4 whole power gamma minus 1. This is equation B. If we see the equation A and equation B, where T2 by T1 is equal to V2 by V3 whole power gamma minus 1, here also it is V1 by V4 power gamma minus 1. So, these two equations are representing the T2 by T1. So, where LHS is same, we can equate the RHS also. Therefore, V2 by V3 whole power gamma minus 1 is equal to V1 by V4. So, from equations A and B, we can write V3 by V4 is equal to V2 by V1, because they both are representing T2 by T1. Therefore, eta is equal to 1 minus T2 by T1 into log V3 by V4 whole divided by log V3 by V4, because in place of V3 by V4 we can write V2 by V1. So, these two get cancelled, therefore it is 1 minus T2 by T1. Therefore, eta we will get 1 minus T2 by T1. So, this is the way to find out the efficiency of Carnot's heat engine. Now, we will see some basic theorems about this Carnot heat engine. The next one is Carnot theorem. So this Carnot theorem is Carnot heat engine is one of the ideal heat engine, okay, which is based on the concept of the exhausting of heat into working substance. So what are the theorems or what are the main points in the theorem? Any engine which is working between two temperatures like T1 and T2 cannot have the efficiency more than the heat engine. That is one. And the efficiency of the heat engine is independent of the working substance. Any heat engine that works between two temperatures T1 and T2 cannot have the efficiency more than Carnot's heat engine. The second point to be noted in the Carnot's theorem is the heat engine's efficiency. Any heat engine's efficiency is independent of the nature of the working substance. The efficiency of the heat engine is independent on the nature of working substance. That's why in the formula we have written 1 minus T2 by T1, where T1 and T2 are the temperatures of sink, source and sink respectively. So it is independent of the nature of the work. Once if these two laws are violated, they are violating the second law of thermodynamics. So this won't be happened again and again. That's why these engines are designed like that. This is one of the numerical which is based on the concept of Carnot's heat engine. If you see the content of the numerical, the efficiency of a Carnot cycle is 1 by 6. If on reducing the temperature of the sink by 65 degrees Celsius, the efficiency becomes 1 by 3. Find the initial and final temperatures between which the cycle is working. So where eta is 1 by 6, that is nothing but 1 minus T2 by T1, nothing but T sink by T source. When temperature of the sink was decreased by 65 degrees Celsius, this efficiency was reduced by 1 by 3. Therefore, eta final is equal to 1 by 3, that is equal to 1 minus T2 minus 65 by T1. These are the two equations. Now we should find out the T1 and T2 values. So now I am dividing the equations 1 by equation 2. LHS is 1 by 6 whole divided by 1 by 3 is equal to, the RHS of equation 1 is 1 minus T2 by T1 by 1 minus T2 minus 65 by T1. This 1 by 6 by 1 by 3 will become 1 by 6 into 3 by 1, that is equal to 1 by 2, is equal to T1 minus T2 by T1 whole divided by T1 minus T2 plus 65 by T1. So therefore it is 1 by 2 is equal to T1 minus T2 by T1 whole divided by T1 minus T2 plus 65 by T1. So we can say this one as 1 by 2 is equal to T1 minus T2 by T1 into T1 by T1 minus T2 plus 65. T1 and T1 get cancelled. Therefore, it is T1 minus T2 by T1 minus T2 plus 65 is equal to 1 by 2. 2T1 minus T2 is equal to T1 minus T2 plus 65. If we solve it, this T2 will come here. So therefore, 2T1 minus T2 minus T1 plus T2 is equal to 65. T2 get cancelled. T1 is equal to 65 degrees. Now I am substituting this T1 is equal to 65 degrees in any one equation, we will get 1 by 6. Therefore, 1 minus T2 by T1 is equal to 1 by 6. Therefore, 1 minus T2 by 65 is equal to 1 by 6. Now, 1 minus 1 by 6 is equal to T2 by 65. T2 is equal to 65 into 1 minus 1 by 6. Therefore, 65 into 5 by 6. It is 325 by 6. Approximately, this 325 will give 54 point. So it is 1 remainder. So 0.1 degrees Celsius. So where T2 is 54, T1 is 65, then if it is converted to the kelvins, so the on Kelvin scale, T1 is 65 plus 273, T2 is 54 plus 273. The 65 plus 273 is 338. This 54 plus 273 is approximately 327. At these temperatures, we are getting efficiency of 1 by 6. This is one of the numerical which is based on the concept of refrigerator working. So, in a refrigerator, the heat from inside at 277 Kelvin is transferred to a room at 300 Kelvin. How many joules of heat shall be delivered to the room for each joule of electrical energy consumed ideally? Therefore, the coefficient of performance beta of refrigerator is Q by W. So this will be temperature at lower by temperature at higher minus temperature at lower. So the temperature at lower is 277 Kelvin by temperature at higher is 300 Kelvin minus temperature at lower is 277 Kelvin. This will be 277 by 23 is equal to Q by W. Therefore, heat energy Q is equal to W into 277 by 23. So, if we see the cancellation and the substitution of values, we will get this one as W, because this 277 by 23 will become 12, approximately 12. So, we got Q as 12 volts. Q is equal to 12 into work done. So, he is asking what is the heat energy, how many joules of heat energy shall be delivered to the room for each joule. So, that means heat energy to be delivered is equal to 1 plus 12, that is 13 watts. Because almost it is equal to 1 plus Q, therefore it is 1 plus 12 watts, that is 13 watts of heat energy should be consumed for the rise of each joule ideally.